it's not just about beautiful skin. It's about healthy skin. And that's what
Yeah.
we talk about a lot is let your skin be healthy. Your skin is your largest organ of your body. So you need it to protect.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the Behind Company Lines podcast. Today we have Keith O'Brien, CEO of Hydrinity. Hydrinity started as a regenerative medicine company until being pushed into groundbreaking regenerative skin science. Keith, I'm so excited to chat with you, not only because we haven't had anyone in your particular field on the show before, but also we see all these brands out there, we see all this skincare, and it's even become more popular, more widely available and used, but I'm sure a lot of people are still understanding what is the consumer products, what are the products that are a little bit more specialized in a particular area, and what are the companies doing behind that to be able to deliver on what they're saying, which is whether it's wound care or actual skincare products, how they're doing so. So before we get into all that good stuff with Hydrinity, what were you doing before you joined the company and started leading as CEO?
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you. I appreciate the invite. So, no, before this with Hydrinity, we actually started Hydrinity. Before this, we were doing a regenerative medicine company, and that's how we kind of got into Hydrinity. We were working on advanced wound care products for spine surgery, and even drug delivery system for oncology patients.
Yeah.
That's what we were, that's kind of how we made the transition into Hydrinity. So yeah, I've been in the medical industry for about 30 years now. So.
Yeah. And it's always interesting thinking about how those products are made and how it actually, I guess, how its relationship with the body and what is involved to making sure that it can do the function and the body necessarily won't reject it. I think commonly I think a lot of consumers are worried about whether it's an instrument or products, its effect. What kind of research are you doing and what's involved in those products to be able to communicate with the body or not have it respond negatively?
No, I think all I can do is speak for Hydrinity and my experience. And what we do is we do extensive testing in ours. We test every individual ingredient by itself, and then we test them when we bake the bulk material. So we test it again to make sure it's safe and it's clean. And then before we introduce any product to the market, we do clinical trials. We test subjects to make sure there's no reaction, make sure it's good for all skin types, whether you're acne prone, whether you have oily or dry skin.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that there are no reactions to our products.
Yeah. I love this idea. I love the idea of building the product backwards. So thinking about, okay, we have the product in store, taking a step back, it's clinical trials. During that process, how many steps does it actually have to take to get to where the normal consumer can actually use the product? Is there a certain amount of number of trials, years, review system? What's involved in that process that we don't know about?
Yeah. Well, the difference is if you were in my previous world in regenerative medicine biologics, the FDA gives you a very, very rigorous steps and tests that you have to provide.
Yeah.
The aesthetics in the cosmetic world is it's not that rigid. It's more, it's actually more the honor system. But I'll just from our experience for our first couple of products, it took us 2 years to develop those and get those the right way.
Wow.
So number one, you have to start with the end in mind. What's the problem that we're trying to come up with a solution for?
Yeah.
And then you do your research. Okay, what's going to be really good for that? And then you start putting things together. We probably went through 50 formulas before we got the one that was just right.
Yeah.
It was 2.5, almost 3-year process before we released our first couple of products, just to make sure they were really, really good.
And how do you define the right formula? Is it getting close to a certain set of outcomes that you hypothesize would, if you were to use this combination? What gets you there? Are you looking for something particular or looking for the problem to be in the degrees better, essentially?
There's a couple of things. Number one is it has to work.
Sure.
Number one, it needs to work. And then it needs to be safe. No side effects. But the other is you need rapid results. People are impatient now. And whether you're dealing with wound care or whether you're dealing with the skin science, patients are super impatient. So you need to give results quickly so that they'll continue to use it. And it's important for results to happen quickly too.
Yeah. When you think about what works, what are you measuring? Are you taking certain calibrations of the skin? Is it just like, okay, you feel soft today, it's working,
Well,
you know, what's
I
involved in
think
that?
there's two ways you can look at it as a clinician.
Sure.
We can grade things is you can do what they call tool transepidermal water loss.
Mm-hmm.
We can measure that.
Mm-hmm.
But the other way to do it is the person that's using it. They know if their skin is softer. They know if it's more luminous. They know if those
Yeah.
fine lines and wrinkles. They know where their acne is going away.
Yeah.
If their rosacea is getting better, they
Yeah.
they can see that. They see it every day. And
Yeah.
so you can look at it two ways. Number one is at the end users who you're trying to please, the patient.
Right.
So
Right.
you want something, they will give you feedback, and our feedback is phenomenal
Yeah.
from our clients.
Yeah. And thinking about you spent your career in just like healthcare, skincare, all these different services, medical, the rigorous nature of approving products. How has that evolved over time? What have you seen in terms of changes made to actually, is it to consider the patient more in mind? Is it to mitigate any risk from company standpoint? What are the changes being made? And is it all for the consumer at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, patient safety is the number one factor.
Yeah.
Now, there are some medicines you will have some. Let's take oncology products versus, let's say, skincare.
Yeah.
There are risk involved in those very potent products, but does that risk outweigh the benefit? And that's what the regulators have to decide.
Yeah.
And so I think the approval process has become a lot stricter. And I think probably in some cases it's needed, and in some
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is or not.
Yeah.
But you always have to put the patient first. Safety has to come first, always.
Yeah. When you think about going to market with a new product in healthcare, and particularly even skincare now, you know, what's different versus the regular kind of day-to-day products we're bombarded with today? There's applications, there's kind of all the hierarchy. If you think of Maslow's hierarchy, there's food, there's living and housing, then there's the additional stuff. Now, what is, I guess, particularly not valuable, but successful when you think about marketing a product within this realm to consumers? What are some of the key things you have to connect them on and build that trust with? Where do you start?
Part of it is and again, I know I'm gonna harp on this a lot, but efficacy, your products have to work.
Yeah.
When you ask somebody to pay for something that they're getting, they need to see that there's value there.
Right.
They need to see that it actually works. That's the great thing about our products. Not only do they work, but they work quickly. So people,
Yeah.
they see the value. They see the value in that. And it's not just about beautiful skin. It's about healthy skin. And that's what
Yeah.
we talk about a lot is let your skin be healthy. Your skin is your largest organ of your body. So you need it to protect
Yeah.
everything else, to determine what comes in and out of your body. It's also, whether you're dealing with a wound or with a skin issue, it's of major importance to that person, their
Yeah.
mental health, their well-being, how they perceive themselves. It's important.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot of times. Sometimes people think these products are just for vanity. No, they're not.
You're
They're
right.
for health. They're for healthy skin, and healthy skin penetrates the rest of your world. And it's
Yeah.
super important.
How would you define, or I guess divide the different types of skincare products out there in regards to the consumer kind of, I would say the popular products, or even like you think about Glossier has done a great marketing, but they're very consumer brand focused
Yeah.
versus you think about maybe not Clinique, but one of those types of brands, like I'm slipping my brain here, but one that's a little bit more, I would say, in the luxury kind of, whether it's regenerative or restorative. How would you segment the differences outside of just being price? Is it leveraging more technology, more science? How would you segment those two types of skincares? And how would you choose as a consumer which one you need?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think part of it is, and that's part of our vision, is to bring top tier science, luxury products that are affordable to everyone. There are products that you can get at your retail store.
Yeah.
I will tell you the quality of those ingredients are not quite as good as what you will find at your derms, your plastics, and your med spas.
Yeah.
It's just because of the cost of those. Not that they're bad products for certain things,
Yeah.
but a lot of times you do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And if you have your dermatologist, your plastic surgeon, your esthetician, if they're recommending these products, it's number one, because they believe in them and they have vetted them out.
Yeah.
That's the area that we play in. The other thing is the more higher end products, they probably have science to back them up also.
Yeah.
And so there are differences in products. There are absolutely in the quality. And we can talk more about that later, because our quality or our products is second to none, and we do that on purpose.
Yeah, obviously, definitely want to dive into the product in particular, but just thinking about as a CEO of a skincare company that has to deliver value, has to deliver products that work. What is kind of like a normal function for you in regards to on the partnership side? Because I can see that people who recommend this, that you trust, be a huge kind of channel for whether it's partnership or customer acquisition and whatnot. But what else is out there as a company like yours in regards to, is it looking for retail partners? Is it looking to expand into other networks of providers? Or what in particular do you kind of spend your time focusing on and when you think about growing the product?
Yeah. Ours is, we're a healthcare provider partner. That's who we are. We don't do retail. We have our Hydrinity.com where people can go and buy it. We don't promote it. Our partners are who we work with. Dermatologists, plastic surgeons, and med spas with medical directors. And so that's our channel. So our goal every day is to get as many partners as we can. And you're right. We take that very seriously. When somebody recommends our product, we know that we have to deliver. And that's one reason that we have something called the Hydrinity guarantee. If somebody uses our product, if they empty the bottle for whatever reason, they may not even like the color of the bottle. If they send me the empty bottle back, I give them their money back. No questions asked. It just, because that's the type of partner we want to be. I don't want our healthcare providers to be on the hook and recommend something that they wouldn't use themselves.
Yeah. How much is the product finished from when you say start launching it? Do you start collecting feedback and iterate? How quickly is the iterative process if you start receiving feedback to go a different direction, different from other industries that, I think software in particular is one that's touted for being hyper adaptable or changeable, right? And super dynamic. How is that within the healthcare or the skincare and healthcare space?
Yeah. We try to get as much feedback as we can before we launch a product.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason Hydrinity is committed before we mass market it, before we start selling it to our partners. We do clinical testing.
Yeah.
I give our product beforehand to our advisors, to our field sales force, and then just people that I meet sometimes. Hey, try this and tell me what you think about it. And that's the reason our process probably takes a little longer to get to market than some others, is because when it's there, it's hard to change then, because if you start looking at supply chain and everything it does to make these products, the time frame is there are months to do. So if you make a mistake early on, you got 6 or 12 months before you really can correct it. And so we do our very best to get as much as we can right out of the gate. And so that's the reason we probably get a lot more feedback before we launch than most companies do. You have to do that as a young company. You can't afford to make those. You're going to make mistakes, but you can't make critical mistakes. You can't make mistakes that really hurt the organization. That would be one of them.
Yeah. In regards to in particular, what was that catalyst that caused your shift from working on the regenerative medicine that you were at the time for wound care and for all those different reasons? What kind of caused that push? Was it a particular client? Was it patients? And what made the company move in that direction?
It was like I said, we had probably two really serendipitous incidents that really that changed the course of the organization. Is number one is we were using it for something else. It's a radiation oncology, and just people with severely compromised skin we saw that their skin was beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
before radiation patients, you get thrush and your skin gets messed up. Well, we can't treat thrush, but the skin was just beautiful. And man, we saw that and it said, okay, I think we have something. So then we kind of started working on it. The other thing is, I don't like talk too much about it, but I had a terrible accident.
Yeah.
And just the side of my face was all messed up. And so I used a serum on it. And it was remarkable. I said, I can't be a hypocrite. You got to try these things if you're going to be in this.
Yeah.
And within 3 months, you couldn't tell. You just couldn't tell. The dismemberment was brutal. It was bad.
Yeah.
So you had those two things go together. And at that point, we kind of felt obligated. We have to go into the skincare market right now, because if not, we're not doing what's right by people. Our products are if it can work on severely compromised skin, then we know what it can do for just not severely compromised skin. Just a regular, ordinary patient that needs help every day.
Yeah. It's fascinating thinking about not only just that story in particular, because you have such a experience having seen the results of the product, but also thinking about that market in particular, not like you said, hopefully not severely damaged skin where there was an incident involved, but skincare where mainly it's being a little neglected, needs some maintenance, some self-care, things like that. How many people are working within this kind of space where you're really focusing on the improvement and almost like rejuvenation of the skin versus band-aiding the skin, or even if wound care, you think about everything's more medical, you kind of find yourself right in that middle ground. How many companies are in that middle ground with you or were before you?
There's probably a couple out there that really rely on the science and try to elevate the other companies around them, but it's a handful at the most.
Yeah.
It really is. It is not many.
Yeah. Is it just because of the investment of what it takes to actually build that type of product?
It does. Yeah. There's a huge investment involved, and it takes money to do clinical studies. It just takes a lot more money to do it the right way. But at the end, you're going to be better off if you do it the right way. But it just, there's different business models, and I'm not saying theirs is wrong. I just like ours much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're thinking about you talk a lot about the ingredients, and one particular, because I was looking at the ingredients, or you have a patented formula that obviously I'd love to discuss and as much as you can share, but it's nothing necessarily we haven't seen before in terms of like hyaluronic acid is extremely popular with a lot of skincare, but what in particular is involved in the formula and in the ingredients that makes it so effective versus me grabbing kind of a simple solution from Sephora or some maybe even specialized skincare? What about that formula makes it so effective?
No, absolutely. That's a great question, because the ingredients the better the ingredients, the better the product's going to be.
Right.
And it's just that simple. So number one is our HA is different than any other HA out there on the market. Yeah. It's the first real advancement in HA in 25 years. And it's how we make it. No one makes HA the way that we make ours.
Yeah.
And so it is different. The molecular chains, they're long and they're strong and they're sticky. Yeah. So peptides and antioxidants stick to them. They don't break down. They're not fragile. They're not weak. You get penetration down to the dermal layer, where with the other shorter chains, you don't. Yeah. The other with our HA is we put twice as much HA in our product as anybody else. Twice as much. The third part of that is we use injectable grade HA, not cosmetic grade. Most other topical agents, they use cosmetic grade. We use injectable grade. We use the same thing that people put in a needle and inject in you. So ours is 99.9% pure. The others is not. Our HA is better and there's more of it. The other products that we use, some of them are the same and some are different. I'll give you an example. So our Kakadu plum, the Australian plum. Yeah. It's grown in one place in this earth, and that's on the northern shore of Australia. That's where they get more sun than any place else in the world. So the plum has evolved to now, it produces more vitamins. It has 100 times more vitamin C than what an orange does. So you only have to use a small amount. The problem with vitamin C's, a lot of companies have vitamin C in their product, but if you don't use, sometimes it irritates you also.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we use just a small amount. We use enough to where it's super effective, but we don't use where you don't get that irritation.
Yeah.
So that's one. The other is the agache Mexican flour that we use. It is a potent anti-inflammatory and a heat reducing. So for patients undergoing dermabrasions, microneedling procedures, you put this on their skin, it reduces it between 1 and 2 degrees Celsius. It takes away the pain, it takes away the redness, the inflammation, it gets them back to doing what they were doing faster.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not the products, but it's how you put them together and the percentages that you use them.
Yeah.
Also,
it also seems like an ingredients game. It's just like fine dining, right? It's without understanding the ingredients to the micro level, you really don't understand its actual effect or impact, right? I didn't personally know that if you have a shorter chain of HA, then it doesn't necessarily get as absorbed into the skin, even into an effective amount, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about the culture around skincare, at least in the US in particular. How is it in comparison to other countries in its advancement and really just using science to deploy really good products that work out in the market versus products that consumers will just buy and maybe use? There might be some diamonds in the rough, but it's more saturated. What is the comparison culturally, I guess, between the US and abroad?
Some of it is there are certain companies like Korea per capita, they purchase more skincare products than any other country in the world.
Yeah.
Per capita, they do. South America, they do more procedures than even the US. I mean, you take like Brazil's probably number one, Argentina's not too far behind. But then some of the ingredients where we have to shy away from here in the States, they really embrace ingredients that, let's say, are not natural. They really embrace those in certain parts of the world. But I would say probably 60-70% of the market is still the same. They want the same thing. So that's where you do, and that's where our products fit in really well because we don't have 100. We have a few SKUs right now.
Yeah.
And they can fit into any regimen, or you can just use them alone. And I think that's where a lot of people are going is simplicity. We call it skinamize, where it's not COVID anymore. You don't have 2 hours to get dressed or anything like that. You gotta go. So you need something that's simple. You need 2 pumps twice a day, 2 minutes, and you're gone. And so I think that resonates across the world these days.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think about whether it's external and internal, what are some of the biggest risks that the company faces today?
There's always, I think some of the more internal, it's just our pressure on ourselves. We want to do so good.
Yeah.
It's just that's one is, can we manage our own expectations? Because we know what our products are, and we know that the team that we're building here is, and so I think we just have to keep that in perspective and say, man, we've done more in 9 months than most companies do in 4 or 5 years. So, so you have to manage those expectations. Externally, I have to tell you, I don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Because all I know is what we can control and what we do, and we'll let the chips fall where they may there. The only thing externally that really could affect us, if there was some, say, geopolitical event with things like supply chains, or you cut off from certain markets, but you can't go around fretting about that or worrying about that. And you know what you have to do? You have to plan for that. You have to have second source suppliers. You have to have a contingency plan. But other things keep me up at night, not that. Because we'll figure, we can figure that out. Because if we have that problem, everybody else does.
If everything goes well, what's the long-term vision for the company?
You know what? We just want to grow it. Our goal is, and I tell everybody, what we focus on is a couple of things here, Julian, is we focus just to be the best at what we do. You deliver the best products, the best customer service, be the best partner. Everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah.
We said, where do you want to, how big do you want to be? I don't focus on that. Let's just be
Yeah.
good. If we're good at everything you do, those top line revenue numbers and the size of
Yeah.
your organization, all that will take care of itself. So no,
Yeah.
we plan on being a very forceful disruptor in the
Yeah.
skincare market.
Yeah.
That is our goal. That's our passion.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. I love this next section. I call my founder FAQ. So I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire questions and we'll see where we get. First question, I always like to open it up is, what's particularly hard about your job day to day?
The hard part is you have to wear so many different hats. And
Yeah.
you have to make the decision that's best for the entire organization, not one person or one department. You have to make the decisions based on the facts that you have today. You can't wait till tomorrow when you may have more. You need to make decisions on the best available information that you have today.
Yeah. And thinking about your journey as a CEO, what's something that you're particularly really good at today that you wish you were better at earlier on in your career?
I don't know. Some people may say I'm not good at anything right now, so I don't know. No, I think part of it is probably seeing the big picture. Sometimes when you're coming up through an organization or you have a certain discipline that you're really good at, you don't look at what everybody else does. You don't always see the big picture. And that's what you have to realize, that it's a domino effect in what you do. Your words and your actions affect people.
Yeah.
And so you really have to understand that.
Yeah. Thinking about the company in particular, I think about external factors. And you mentioned a couple things in terms of whether it's geopolitical or supply chain, but I always think about the shifting changes in the current structure. It's particularly in healthcare, being that it seems as though people who are providers are starting to connect more directly with their customers. And are you seeing that change from your end? And has that changed how your company delivers products?
Absolutely. I think especially with the physician specialists we deal with, they're very interactive with their patients. The dermatologists, plastic surgeons, they're very active on social media, and they have their own websites now. And so what we try to do is we try to provide content to help them with that, because it's super important. That's where people get their information from now. That's how they make decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
It's on
Just trusted source, right?
It's on a 30-second clip. That's the world. That's the world. So if that is, then we need to make sure that they're getting true and accurate information. And so we need to provide as much of that content as we can for our partners.
Yeah. Are you seeing I feel like a lot of companies are having that shift where they're almost becoming not media companies, but thinking about leveraging media as not only their source of truth, but where they harbor their content, where they communicate or educate their customers. Did you ever think you'd have to kind of invest so much into that? Or what do you, I guess, surprised along this journey that you've had to invest in a lot of outside of delivering product or building product or things like that?
I'm super surprised with that. I'm still a little old school. It's sit down face to face and let's talk. Let's touch the product, feel the product, smell it, kind of thing. But sometimes there are decisions that are made with and you are 1000% correct. I didn't think that in the medical industry that social platforms would have that much influence, but they do. And so you need to change. You need to evolve. You need to figure out a way to get it right. And so luckily I got some smart people that know how to do that, and they are absolutely very good at that and making it happen.
Yeah. What do you look for as a CEO when you're thinking about building teams? Are you looking for specialists in a certain industry, or are you looking for individuals who have a dynamic skill set that fit company culture? What are the different things you're looking for to make sure you're bringing on the right people? Because you live and die by them.
Absolutely. What I call it's the pyramid of success for every organization. It's the people. That is the foundation. Then it's the execution phase of it. And then the product is actually the third leg of the stool, and it's the least important. So I look for people, number one, that are a lot smarter than me. That's not real hard. So that's the easy part. And then the second is, I don't care. I'd like for you need to have medical background, but it can be medical device. It can be aesthetics. It can be pharmaceuticals, because every one of them has a little something different. So if you bring people from different backgrounds that have the same vision, that are rowing in the same direction, you're going to be successful. As long as everybody has the best interest of the company in mind, they're willing to work hard, they believe in themselves, then that's what you have. And that's a true team. You can't have a bunch of mini-me's or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you have like a certain process? Does everybody on the team meet with the person you're hiring, or does there's some kind of a collaborative session? I'm always curious to learn about how you do it. Yeah.
Usually we try to set two eyes on people, let two different people look at them. We try to do that for everybody's. And I would say we do that 95% of the time. The higher up you get in the organization, you have two, sometimes three.
Yeah.
But the other part is when you're moving fast, when you go from 0 employees to 30 plus in 6 months, sometimes like I said, I'm a face-to-face person, but sometimes now you just have to do it by Zoom or call make that final decision. The second set of eyes is just so in case there's something that somebody might miss.
Sure.
And people interview different ways also. But I try to give my people, if that's your part of the organization, you need to make that hiring decision.
Right.
They need to own that. So
yeah. I think about one thing when building my current company that we're working on. I always think about who do we want to look like, or who's out there who are doing some really cool and creative things or innovative things, or just crushing it, just delivering great product. Who's that for you, whether it's in your industry or outside of it, that you're like, I like what they're doing, and if Vanity could emulate some of that, we would have a well-run machine. Not saying it doesn't already, but just inspiration.
Absolutely. I think as we started out, we probably have had a similar path to Skin Better Science. Super well-respected company. They believed in science. Some of their leadership team had some of the same background as myself and my team. I think we'll depart ways in certain, but I think right now for in our youngness of our company, we probably best emulate them. There's some things that we'll probably do different. We have some plans and some visions that other companies don't, so that in a couple of years, you can ask that question to somebody else, and hopefully we'll be on the other end. But I would say for right now, they're a very well-run organization, and I like a lot of the things they do.
Yeah. Thinking about the delivery as a founder or delivery as a CEO, and thinking about kind of what metrics or what do you put in place to make sure that your company is delivering? Is it cultural? Is it something strategic? How do you stay the course, being that you can get so involved into other projects or product lines or potential roadmap, visionary kind of high level stuff? How do you kind of keep everybody on the same track?
I think part of it is what's your number one focus. You don't lose track of that. And number one is you have to drive revenue. You know what? We deliver good products, but at the end of the day, that's the reason we get sales reports 2 times a day here.
Yeah.
Twice. It goes to the entire company. So we know what our revenue is every day, twice a day.
Yeah.
And that's just culturally is like, that's what we're here. That's what we're here for. The more blue boxes we get to go out the door, the better that everybody does, internally and externally. I think that I'm a dashboard kind of guy. Like you said, we're all busy and got stuff to do.
Yeah.
I like dashboards. I want 5 or 6 things to look at, and then I can drill deeper if I need to. We have weekly team meetings. I can't know everything that's going on. I get updated at least weekly. A lot of times before we'll do calls, but I just think you have to have some structure and you have to have some discipline. You can only focus on so many things. So be right about what you want to focus on.
Yeah. I was thinking about one thing I've heard you're focusing on is actually expansion and working with new collaborators and partners abroad. So I'd love to hear you share about that and what's particularly interesting about going from one market to another. And is there obviously there must be some red tape that has to be cut to actually get to that point. What was involved in that process, and what are you particularly excited about?
Yeah, no, we've already internationally, we have a distributor, I think the top distributor in Canada. They're with us. We have one in Mexico. that are already selling products for us. We'll launch next month in Europe.
Yeah. Congrats. Yeah.
And so the EU should approve all of our, it's funny how the regulations are a lot more in Europe for skincare products than they are here in the US. Are much more stringent. And
Yeah.
so we've been working through that the past 6 months, but I think we have our last piece of information to them. So we should get approval next week. There are certain things you have to have multi-language and all your different inserts for your products. Your boxes have to be a little different, but it's such a good opportunity. Once you get that initial expense done, then it's no more. And people love products. They love high-end products. They love products that are made here in the US or around the world. So I'm super excited. And Britt Nixon runs the international part of Hydrinity for us. He's done a great job. He's got tons of 20 years of experience, international, knows a lot of people. And so we're expecting big things out of that moving forward.
Yeah. And what's particularly important in terms of partnerships, because I think about bringing something into a new location, even if it's domestic, right? It almost needs a vehicle to almost jumpstart it, especially if it's already running. How important is that? And how do you select your partners?
We do. And like I said, Brent he's the catalyst for that. But, my direction they have to be top notch. Yeah. And the other is, do you trust them? Because they're delivering your message for your product. And at the end of the day, we're ultimately responsible for that. So we have to make sure they're doing things the right way. I would rather have fewer distributors that are quality and top notch than everybody. Let's be limited in who we get it to, because different parts of the world, they put it on shelves. They do a lot of different things with it, and that's just not where we want our brand. We need to be very selective in who we partner with.
Yeah, the consistency, I would say that probably is a big thing that you think about, and how it's being delivered and communicated. Yeah, and especially probably specific because it's having a physical product is just so much more impactful in terms of that experience.
It is.
And I couldn't imagine having made all this decision and all this investment and launching it and doing it at that time and putting something out in the market that almost has to be 100% correct, if not close to that amount. And what advice would you give for other aspiring entrepreneurs who are in the skincare space, who maybe have an idea, want to solve a problem, but are just unaware of not only the time, but also the investment prior to delivering something? What would you give them?
There's a couple things. Number one is you got to ask yourself, am I doing this to make $1 or am I passionate about it? If you're doing it to make money, it's probably the wrong reason to get started. But if you're passionate about it and you got a work ethic that just won't stop, those are the first two you have to find. Then here's the other thing: is find a mentor, find somebody to ask questions to, because you don't know all the answers. And none of us do. I don't know. Believe me, I call people every day trying to figure things out. Find someone that will give you some time and just be a mentor to you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, when all that, bet on yourself. Yeah. Always bet on yourself. Because if you won't bet on yourself, nobody else will. Believe in yourself. Stay true to yourself. So those are just kind of some of the you can figure the science out. You can figure the other stuff out. But what's inside you is what's ultimately going to determine whether you're successful or not.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I know we're coming to the close of the episode here, but I do want to ask, I always love to ask this to all my guests. If you think about whether it's early in your career or now, what books or people have been highly impactful even to today?
You know what, man, I had so many great mentors early in my career. It was almost unfair.
Yeah.
The amount of talented people that I've got to be. One of the books that I love the best, though, it's a Jim Collins book, From Good to Great.
Yeah. I just finished that one, actually. Yeah.
It's just super impactful, and I love that book and all the different aspects of it. Like, don't let good be the enemy of greatness.
Yeah.
Don't be satisfied with good. Try to be, and that's where we kind of get our be the best at. If you're the best at everything else kind of comes in to effect. And that's what we're seeing with the organization, the book, The Flywheel Effect. You're working hard. Then pretty soon when it gets to going, that thing just starts then, and There's so many great lessons in that book.
Yeah.
I love that book. It's one of my favorites. I'll give you
Yeah.
one you probably had. I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
A great salesperson's book. It's by Rick Pitino. It's old now. It's Success is a Choice.
No, I haven't heard that one. No.
It's a great read, and it just talks about if you want to be successful, it's not up to anybody. It's up to you.
Yeah.
He talked about Billy Donovan when he first went to Providence, was just a fat kid or so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Pitino would get on him, and he made himself an NBA player just
Yeah.
because of his heart and his will, and
Yeah.
it's easy to translate that into all aspects of your life. If you want to be successful, you can be. But are
Yeah.
you disciplined enough? Are you willing to do the sacrifices that it needs?
Yeah. Yeah. That goes, I think, overspoken, but underdone is
Yeah.
that aspect right there you're talking about, right? I talk to my brother. I have younger brothers and they're junior college athletes and they want to go to the next level. And it's like, you really got to reflect and you got to compare yourself to the best and see, are you putting in that work or are you putting in the good work and the one that makes you good enough, but not in your trajectory. But ultimately, Keith, I know we're at the close of the show. Last little bit, is there any question I didn't ask you that I should have? Anything we left on the table here today?
No, I don't think so. Hey, thank you for letting me share a little bit about Hydrinity, our vision, and just all the work that the great people of the company are doing. And again, I get to do these interviews and these types of things. But if it's not for the people that really make up Hydrinity, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm thankful to work with such a great leadership team. Every person within our organization is truly committed to making Hydrinity the best skincare company there is out there. And so I'm super humbled just to work with all of those folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Last bit, Keith, is where can we find you? Where can we find Hydrinity? Let us know your website. So let us know also your LinkedIn to where we can find and support you.
You can go to hydrinity.com. All of our products are listed there. The current ones, we'll have 2 more in September that gets added, 2 more in probably in January of 24. Go to your derm, your plastic and your med spas and ask for Hydrinity.
Yeah.
We've been out, like I said, 9 months now. We're in over 700 accounts. And we're growing every day. So if it's not there, ask your physician to get it.
I love it, Keith. It's been so exciting not only learn about your career and where healthcare has kind of changed and adapted, but also Hydrinity and really thinking about leading with science and leading with the things that actually have outcomes and results and really just being able to share that in a modern world where it incorporates a lot of aspects that aren't traditionally used, but now we'll see a lot of that being involved. So it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and thank you again, Keith.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Julian.